Welcome everyone. I hope and pray you all are well. Culture Unite presents the Bhangra Aid 2020 online concert on the 25th of July from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. British Standard Time. I'm Chandni Khan. I will be your host on the day and before the upcoming event with live interviews with some of the artists and some other guests who are going to perform from their home or studio. In these difficult times, Bhangra Aid 2020 aims to unite artists and public worldwide. During this journey, we will also be extending our appreciation to all key workers around the world, but at the same time, to send a message of hope to the public. Music and entertainment is the language of love and peace, and that's what we need right now. But before we start with the interview, I would like to remind you to visit our website at www.bhangraaid.com to get your free broadcast link for the event. My today's guest is the living legend who is the root of Bhangra music in the UK. The first who started introducing folk music in the late 60s and 70s, and the first person to broadcast on BBC Asian Music, and the first person who organized Asian Song Contest and gave a platform to the Bhangra artists in the UK at that time. He worked very closely with the legend Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan up to his death, also with living legends like Bali Sagu, the Bajungi group, Hira, Apna Sangeet, and many, many more, which we will find out today. A warm welcome to the founder and director of Oriental Star Agency, Mohammed Ayub, MBE.
Hello, thank you, Chandni, for. Hello, yes.
Thank you very much for coming and giving us this time. It's an honor to have you. As we said, that you are actually the key person for the Bhangra industry.
Chandni, I'm delighted and I really appreciate that you have done so much work for the Bhangra industry, and you are doing some excellent event on 26th of July, Bhangra Aid Live 2020 for the key line workers in the NHS,
Yes.
and also to unite the people around the world.
Yes.
Well, music, as you said, there's a language which unites people.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not only, it's a platform where we actually now can unite because of the whole situation, lockdown and all these physical events. It's on the 25th of July on this coming Saturday, Bhangra Aid 2020. And we try to, of course, to appreciate all our frontline key workers and everyone who was actually very active and helping, supporting, whether it's the from the medical background or even shopkeepers, where people, they have to be basically home ridden. They were not allowed to go out. And I think having you as well now with us to give us a bit more the history, how actually everything you started off, and when we spoke and mentioned some of the artists, the Bajungi groups and all of them. So you have been a very key role, and that's what we would like to know, how it started, your struggle as well, and all the interesting things, what you set it up for the Bhangra industry as well.
Well, Chandni, I'm delighted that you invited me for this interview. I started music business in 1966 in a very small shop in Bolsley Road, Birmingham, where there was a cinema next door to us, and who used to show matinee shows on a Saturday afternoon and Sunday mornings, 11 o'clock. And people, I remember, were mostly bachelor, and they used to dress up in their best dresses and come early before the show, long before the show, and talk about their grievances and the problems and the letters they used to get from back home and discuss their problems. It was a community center because there was no other form of entertainment for the Asians. There were no cassette recorders. There were no uh, music available in this country. There were no radio programs. There were no television program for the Asians. So it was a wonderful event to come to the matinee shows. And the people, when the show finished, came to our shops and asked for the music of that particular film. And I thought there is a gap and opportunity that we must start importing it from India and Pakistan. So I approached EMI Hayes uh, there was a manager called Van Hengel. He was very obliging and he kindly consented to import it from Dum Dum, Kolkata. And the first shipment arrived in 7, 8 weeks by sea. So
Okay.
as soon as it arrived, it went like hotcakes because people were crazy for their own
So,
music because
so, so
there was
they shipped you the cassettes over. Is that right?
no, it wasn't cassettes. At that time, there were only extended play records, small 7-inch records. There were no LPs
Okay.
as
So how
such.
did you duplicate them, or how did you actually then
No, no,
duplicate it?
the records you can't duplicate because there's no system of making cassettes at that time. There were no cassette
Okay.
players. So we used to sell the records and people had gramophone records at home and used to play them. So
Okay.
there was big demand. I then started importing in big quantities, slowly and steadily. And people from other cities around UK also demanded that they wanted to sell music in their shops. So we started distributing the Asian music in the late 60s.
Okay. Okay. So what you started also with the broadcast. What was the reason actually, the main reason when you started your broadcast?
The broadcast we started was from a hospital network. There was a studio at Edgbaston Cricket Ground, BHBN, Birmingham Hospital Broadcasting Network. And my accountant, a friend of mine, who used to come to my shop on Saturday afternoons and ask for latest records to play for the patients in the hospitals. For Asian patients who are in the hospitals, he used to play music for them to entertain them for a couple of hours. And he said, whenever he was busy, he said, why don't you do the program? I said, I don't want to do it because I was so busy on the shop. I was running the shop single-handedly at that time. So later he persuaded me to go there and he asked me to broadcast as well. And that's how I came to the broadcasting.
Okay. So you said you set it up like the studios and to get the artists as well. But what was the worst struggle to actually set up a studio, having a place? Was it easy to get a studio?
Well, we didn't have our own studio. There was a recording studio, English guy who used to run a studio in Bristol Road, Birmingham. We hired that studio, and the first artist I recorded was two guys in the Birmingham University doing their PhD. They were from Pakistan. Mushtaq Hashmi and Amjad Pervez. And at that time, a song from the film Dila Ne Saude, Zamada Muskladar was very popular by Noor Khan, Madam Noor Khan.
Yeah.
And we recorded that song in their voice in stereo sound because there were no stereo record at that time in India and Pakistan. It was the first stereo record. It's a history for the Asian records. It was an extended play record. There were 4 songs on it. And then I was approached by a couple of uh, Punjabi groups who were doing folk songs and doing shovels in gurdwaras and wedding parties. Bhujangi group and Anadi Sangeet Party, they wanted me to do the recordings. And we actually released their extended play records, small records, of which there are 4 songs. And Bhujangi songs were Teri Chichi Nu Pada Chand Back Tarya To
Yeah.
Dur Dur. I mean, you used to get letters from back home and used to read it. And then the other song was the Vara Takya Na Jaye. खाने ने किराया पे they want to come back because the wheelbarrow is very difficult to push in the foundries they were working at that time. So they were used to discuss their social problems. And then the others, Anari Sangeet Party EP was a very famous song, Lus Lus Karte Angani Meri Kurti Ho Gayi Tangni. And that became a massive super hit song. So we asked the studio to make EPs for us because we didn't know how to do for pressing the records. And then he helped us, and he did it on his own level, Zelda Records. Didn't have that Star record at that time, so we then try to distribute it to the other cities as well. We had to go personally there and deliver the EPs. It was a struggle. Small quantities used to sell, but we had to invest a lot of money to produce more and more uh, good records. And the first big hit record was Pabiya Khalargi by Balbir and Dalbir Bajagi Group.
Okay, okay. So that was basically like a campaign, isn't it? A campaign
Yeah,
where you were going.
it was a continuous struggle. I had to travel all around the country, taking the small quantity of records and try to sell, impress people that they must. But slowly the demand grew because people wanted their music. They
Yeah.
will grow their entertainment at that time.
When you say impress people, was it not too easy, or was it easy to impress them and they were fine to have the records?
Well, to start with, it wasn't easy, but afterwards, when people started coming to their shops as well, asking for the music, once they knew that they are selling it, it became very, very popular.
What was the worst struggle at that?
Yeah, it was a struggle to travel around the country and without any big margin in selling those records at that time. The price was very, very low, and you had to run around, sacrifice your time and also money. And then we were doing other business. It was our electrical goods business, and I used to flow money from that business to recording in the studios and
Interesting.
producing the records, which was very, very expensive at that time. You had to press at least 1,000 records, and some records didn't sell even in 50 or 60 or 100 even. So we had to lose a lot of money initially. But there was some hit songs which used to sell in thousands. Then came artists from India and Pakistan like Alam Lahore and Shaukat Ali. We recorded their Punjabi song, and they became very big hits like Velayat Ka Nu Aa Gaya. The other song was uh, uh, Viah Karke Pichaya, Al Har. So these songs, then we started making long play records. So as slowly as gradually it became very popular. And also we were selling the music, imported music from India and Pakistan, film music, which was also popular.
When did you start creating these contests? Because that was also another platform which you opened up for the local artist.
1971, there was an opportunity when the local radio broadcasting started in England. Birmingham Radio started doing their English program, and they invited me to give them music because they wanted to start an Asian program for the Asian community. I said, "Do you have anybody to present the program or produce the program?" They said, "No." So I told them that we were doing a program on the hospital network broadcasting. They said, "Why don't you come for the audition?" And then following week, we went for the audition and said, "Why don't you start the program?" We started our first Asian program on the BBC local radios on 4th July 1971. And that program was for 15 minutes only. Believe me, that
Right.
we hardly played three or four songs. And then
Okay.
following week, there were so many requests that they forced in a few weeks. The program became half an hour, and then one
Okay.
hour later, 1 hour. And by Christmas, believe me, there were three 1 hour program on the mainstream English radios.
Wow. Wow. See, there was a demand, isn't it?
Yeah, because uh, English broadcasters, they never used to get so many requests. as we
Mhm.
started getting it. There was load full of, there was a sack, as the postman used to bring it, and they were amazed how popular the program is. So they
How
had to
was it?
increase the cut.
How was it then actually, if you were actually so much in demand, was there a struggle towards or with the other broadcasts?
Actually, the Asian programs, they didn't have a budget for broadcasting this. So we supplied the music free of charge because I had my
Oh,
own personal library. And that way I had to push them to increase the programming. And we didn't get a lot of money for presenting and producing it. Now they get thousands and hundreds and per hour, but we used to get only a couple of pounds for producing a program. But we did it voluntarily almost for the sake of community. We wanted to give something to our to entertain our community and highlight our problems in this country.
hmm. And when you were doing the song contest, how was it with the local artist?
I had an idea because I was broadcasting on the radio Birmingham from 1971. I thought I might try to encourage the new artists, and we started Asian Song Contest 1975. We advertised it on the local radios throughout the country, and they
Hmm.
used to send their entries, and we used to sift the 10 best songs from there. And the
Okay.
condition was that there should be a new composition. They should not copy any old
Yeah.
song, and that way they had to struggle and they get the new songs and try to get composers to compose it for them, and they used to work very hard, and that encouraged them to learn their own music and their own culture and their own language as well. So that helped a lot. And 75, the first Asian Song Contest was held in Digweswick Hall, Birmingham, which is next to the coast station Birmingham.
Hmm.
uh, and there were Bhangi group, Shoka group, Nari Sangeet Party. They all took part, and Drama Gunani, who later sang Bani Sagu's famous song in Star Crazy, Mera Long Wacha, if you remember.
Yeah.
She actually won the song contest, and the backing group was DCS,
Okay.
and that's how
Okay.
it started. And it was a national song contest, and
Yeah.
then it carried on till 2001. And we introduced
Okay.
many artists to Asian Song Contest. Hira Group took part in that, and we had guest artists like Chirag Pehchan, Apna Sangeet, DCS,
Hmm.
uh, then there were Hira Group, Alap Group, Malki Singh, Bajangi Group, and all of them.
Well done.
We introduced Geet, the Mega Band, Safri Brothers. They all came through the song contest.
Okay. Tell us about Ustadji Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. You worked very close. You organized a lot of events for him as well, and you were with him right at the end of his last breath.
19 early 70s, we had artists coming from India and Pakistan, and we
Hmm.
recorded them like Shaukat Ali, Alul Har. Ghulam Ali Khan came in 1975.
Hmm.
It was his first tour, and we did all his recording and released all his cassettes, Mere Shauk Da Nahi Is Bar, and all those very popular songs. We recorded Beja Mere Kol, and also Ataullah Khan Isa Khan we introduced in 1977. 1978, we released four cassettes by Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, first time in UK. Somebody had recorded it for us live from Faisalabad, Pakistan. We never heard of this sound before, and nobody had known this voice in UK. And as
Hmm.
soon as we released it, it became a sensation, and it became very, very popular. The songs were Hak Alili and
Hmm.
Jana Jogi and all. These were his first recording which was released. And remember in 1978, film Satyam Shivan Sundaram was
Yeah.
released, and Rajpur came for the premiere show in UK. And he
Hmm.
heard Nusrat Kawali Jana Jogi Dalal in Bradford shop. and from there he took took that cassette, and they say that he uh, listened to this cassette over and over again. And in the morning, he came to the shop and took all the cassettes which were available in that shop and took it to Bombay. And from there,
Okay.
he liked these Nusrat Fateh Khan so much that he then approached Muhammad Ali, the actor in Pakistan, and said, "I want to invite this Kawal to uh,
To
India
India.
for live performances."
Okay.
And then in 1980, Nusrat ji went to India early January 1980, and it was Rishi Kapoor's wedding. So Rajpur invited him to perform on the wedding night at the wedding reception, and
Wow. Okay.
believe all the industry, music industry was there, all the film industry was there, and the first time they say all the three big guns were there. Dilip Kumar, Devanand, and Rajput, they were all there, and all the music directors were there, all the film actresses were there, actors were there. So that
Beautiful.
concert, Nusrat asked Naushadji to introduce him on stage, and he said, "I have never heard you. How can I introduce a new voice on the stage?" He said, "I know you haven't heard me, but you have heard our father and uncle. Their Nusrat's father and uncle, Ustad Mubarak Ali and Mujahid Ali, they were very famous Kawals at that time, and Fateh Ali and Mubarak Ali. And they had already done classical music in India and also Qawwalis in India. And their two Qawwalis were taken by Roshanji for the film Barsat Ki Raat. Their
Okay.
tunes, the tunes were by their father, Fateh Ali Khan. They said,
Wonderful.
"Well, why don't you introduce me, saying that I am the son of Fateh Ali Khan, the famous Qawwal and singer who has done Qawwalis in Barsat Ki Raat." So that's how he introduced him. But
Mm.
when the interval came, Nushazi went to Nusrat and said, "Oh, son, I have heard you now. Eh, I will introduce you on any stage in the world if you
And
tell me." He was so impressed.
wonderful, wonderful stories you have. It's amazing to listen all to this. It brings somebody in a history totally, actually, like a new film is just going through my mind. What was your most beautiful, memorable experience time from the time you set up like the Bhangra industry and right now?
Well, Bhangra industry, I was very pleased and delighted to introduce artists to the world, like uh, Pardesi Sangeet Party, who performed in the Red Square, Moscow. I mean, nobody has performed it there. They performed first time at Glastonbury Festival. I mean, Asia, I took them to festivals in Europe, Swing Festival in Belgium, Paris, and they went to perform in big festivals in Switzerland, Germany. And so Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, who was a world-class artist, we introduced him to the world stage through Woman. I
Mhm.
went with them in Japan, and we had two concerts. I tell you the story. The first concert happened on a Saturday night. It was scheduled for 1 hour, but when he went on stage and performed, there was encore, and he had to sing for 2 hours. But
Wow.
people wouldn't stop. In the interval, I asked, they were teenagers. I said, "You don't understand the language, and you were so much hooked to it. How come?" They said, "We don't know the language, but everything he sang went straight into our hearts." So that was the impact. The following day, the concert was sold out, and on the television heard that the prime minister and his wife, Prime Minister John Pan and his wife, were sitting in the front row on the Saturday concert, and we didn't know at all. So
Okay. Okay.
that was the impact. And when the Prime Minister of Japan came to Pakistan a few weeks afterwards, and he mentioned in his tour that he heard Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, and he was such a famous artist. So
Great.
that was the highlight of. And then I am proud to have introduced artists like Malkeet Singh to the world from the very start. In 1985, his first recording was done in Birmingham by us, and
Mm.
till the end, his 21 albums were released by Oriental Star agencies. And Bali Sagu, who was doing music for Western audience, we introduced him to start doing remixes in Bhangra music, and he produced albums like Star Crazy, Ragamuffin Mix, Bollywood Flashback, Bam Bam, etc.
It's an amazing work what you've done for the whole community. It's wonderful to see such a beautiful history. I can only congratulate to that and the respect to you. It's so highly to see because you made something alive, but you kept all the culture and music alive as well during this time. What are your future plans, especially when it comes to the Oriental Star Agency?
Well, all the music is online now because there is no physical sales as such, and you can imagine that day by day the music produced by Oriented Star is becoming more and more popular and having more hits. There are about 750,000 hits every night on the OSA website. So you can well imagine the popularity of Qawwali music has grown so much that in Bollywood and Hollywood films you can see the copy of Ustad Nusrat Ali Khan's Qawwalis, and any artist who performs on stage, his concert is not complete without performing Nusrat Ji's compositions. So that is the legacy of Oriental Star agencies and Nusrat Ali Khan and artists like that. Bani Sagu is one of the greatest
Yeah.
craze in Bhangra industry, and Malkeet
Mm.
Singh is the most traveled artist, Bhangra artist in the world at the moment.
These are the legends to do that. And you are obviously here, one of the living legends with us. Thank you very much to spend this time, giving us the time and supporting Bhangra Aid 2020. And I'm looking forward that you're going to be also watching with us on the 25th of July. But before I would actually say goodbye to you, uh, can you give a message of hope to the viewers?
Well, I feel that music has no language. It unites people all over it. As song contests, we used to say that we used to unite all the communities, Bengalis, Western audiences, and Pakistani, Indian. They were all performers, enjoying the music at one platform. And Bola ji and you have done a wonderful, wonderful job by organizing this Bhangra Aid 2020 on 25th of July. And I'm sure this will unite all the people and encourage the NHS frontline workers, and it will help the Bhangra industry and all the Asian music to unite together.
Thank you very much. You have seeded it. Thank you so much. God
It's
bless
my
you.
pleasure. It's my
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank
Take
you.
care. Take care then. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
That was the living legend, and the message which he has also given it to unite, and that's what we're trying to do. It's so important that we are together and we keep each other's together as well. So thank you very much for joining me, and remember, it's so important never to lose hope. No matter what happens in life, nothing stays forever, whether it's a good time or bad time. Then only together we will and get over it. I will be back very soon with another interesting guest. Until then, look after yourself, stay alert, stay safe, and lots of love. Bye.